So again, coming back to your question, when you're not being challenged, practice it. And then when you are being challenged by little things that goes wrong, so to speak, in daily life, tends to happen, you might have noticed. Things don't always go according to your expectations. Sometimes you miss the bus, or you miss the plane, or something else goes wrong. It tends to happen actually quite a lot. It seems to be part of life. That's, by the way, it's the reason why people go to see movies. Because the substructure of every movie that you see, we could call it applies to virtually every movie you see. If you can examine any movie you see, what actually happens in the movie? In fact, I can describe every movie to you in 3 words. Something goes wrong. Because there wouldn't be a movie otherwise. Nothing would happen. Nobody would evolve. Everything would be dead. But in your own life, you complain. So you see movies to see something go wrong, but when it happens in your own life, you complain. Not you personally, you've transcended it perhaps already. But so the strange thing is, things are not meant not to go wrong. Going wrong is part of the totality of how life experiences itself. If things didn't go wrong, it would be very uninteresting and nobody would evolve, because people only evolve through the challenges that they encounter. And in a good movie, the protagonist or the character changes as he or she faces that which goes wrong in the movie. In a bad movie, so to speak, the character does not go through any changes. That which goes wrong is only solved on an external level. In the end, the bad guy is killed, and that's the end of the movie, but nothing else happens. So something going wrong is part of how life experiences itself. And again, you can then bring awareness to that so that you don't always fall into reactivity when something goes wrong, but you immediately align with it. Or when people behave in a way that you find offensive, or they behave in a way that they create difficulties for you because you wanted this and they want something else, you don't have to go into hostility or opposition. You can immediately say, oh, you seem to say, this is what is. And then how can I approach that without the negativity and just accept that something has gone wrong? It's not wrong at all. It's called life. So something going wrong, really, what it means is it's called life. So you welcome every little challenge. So it's a shift in attitude, and then your practice becomes easier when you see you can almost welcome when things happen that before you called things going wrong. Little things and later big things. Oh, okay. And then you evolve, just as a character in a good movie. I gave a talk, I'm talking about this now because a week ago I was in LA and I gave a talk about transformational movies, bringing consciousness into the movie industry. I gave as an example 2 movies by Clint Eastwood. An early one, I think it was called Dirty Harry, and although it's a very entertaining movie, it's quite satisfying to watch because the bad guy gets killed in the end. Nevertheless, it's not a transformational movie. In the end, you might remember the memorable lines, "Make my day," when he is about to shoot the bad guy. "Make my day, punk." And that's the most satisfying moment in the movie for the viewer. Not a transformational, but entertaining movie. And then 30 years later, Clint Eastwood made a movie again about bad guys. And that movie was called Gran Torino. If you haven't seen it, I recommend that you see it. And that perhaps shows a shift in his own evolution, because again, we are faced with bad guys, but how that is solved, well, resolved in the end is very different from the early movie. I'm not telling you how here, because if you haven't seen it, you want to experience it for yourself. So that's transformational, Gran Torino. It's the same actor, and I think Clint Eastwood directed the Gran Torino one. So that probably shows the evolution of his own consciousness from the early stage to the later stage. But here, this really is a reflection of life. You can resist continuously life, or you can internally align yourself with life so that your life becomes a good movie rather than a bad movie.